We are always happy to find you here on the tubes of you because it's Friday.
Gotta get down on Friday.
Yes, it's
Michael.
Friday.
Michael, do you see the stars? How they shine
Shine
for you?
For me?
All the things that you do.
Just like your urine, it was all yellow.
Your skin.
Oh,
your skin
I
and
wanted
bones,
to
Michael.
use that line, but you just
Like this can, it was all yellow. Welcome back to Disinformed After Dark, friends and neighbors. We are happy to have you here for the video companion podcast to our weekly podcast, the Disinformed Podcast, that you can find. It flees, it escapes every single week on Monday from your preferred podcast provider.
It also devours.
Indeed, it does. But for the uninitiated, I'm Shane.
I am John.
I refuse to wave or put sunglasses on, and I'm Michael.
He refuses to do much of anything, including be
That
funny.
I refuse to not butt in.
Tempting.
Oh, stop.
I should never have
look
got,
at me.
I should
I got
have
a
never
new laptop.
upgraded.
Let me just try out everything.
For
I
those
don't think I'll
playing
ever
home
top the
game.
sunglasses.
Oh,
You will when the dead body arrives in the reflection of your window later on. You'll top it.
I'll invite him in.
Yes, for
I can
those
say
who...
hey.
hey,
right?
come on. He'll be our guest for this episode.
No, don't start quoting Beauty and the Beast on me. But yes, for those who appreciated this week's spoopy episode to break us into the month of October, you will note that in all of these videos, you will need to watch the window in John's background because that is where the demon face is going to arrive.
I was literally sitting in here like this last night, like lights off, and I turned that lamp off, and I had one candle here just doing like mixing and stuff. And half the time there was like things going on in the mix that were coming out of the left ear, and I thought it was someone like hitting the wall here at some times, just because I'm getting used to things, and there's things I was needing to edit out. But like we said in the episode this week, your imagination can conjure up better scares than any movie, and I went to bed thoroughly spooked. So I hate you so much.
Well, you know what's even better, John?
Another thing to look out for.
When you crawl in under the covers tonight, you can wait to see the woman's head poke up as you lift the covers up, and she can go.
Okay, can we have some real talk here? Can we have some real talk? What are the things that you're irrationally afraid of in your own home?
Michael,
Let me. I heard
the
that if you have a
because
problem.
legally I don't have to answer this question.
I heard that if you have a problem with Michael, you just leave out some cheese with poison in the middle of it, and that pretty much takes care of that problem.
Oh, how do you know me so well? You know me so well.
I have an irrational fear of liquid cheese.
That's a fair
Really?
fear.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it was like Cheese Whiz?
My irrational fear, to paint a story or paint a picture, is you go to bed, you wake up at like 3:30 in the morning to, whiz. And what I do when the one thing I want to do before I go back to sleep is take a swig of water and, just quench the thirst and then lay back down. I am always afraid, irrationally, that when I'm grabbing my water bottle off of my nightstand, that a hand is going to shoot out from underneath the bed and grab my ankle. I'm always terrified. So, and because your brain is working so weirdly, when you're half awake, during those moments in the middle of the night is when I think it's going to happen for real. And I know it's never going to happen. And if it does happen, then I'm not going to be able to comprehend it because I'll probably immediately be dead. But just thematically, I think it fits in with October being here. So you guys you have nothing that's similar to that? Like nothing like I don't like turning all the lights off in my house because I feel like a ghost might be following me to my bedroom kind of thing?
I mean what was it?
I'm getting iced here?
No, what are you talking about? I was about to start with something. When I was younger, after watching the intro to Goosebumps, I would be afraid to take out the trash at night. I would literally throw the trash in the trash can, which was on the driveway, and I would haul back into the door because I would just picture the intro to Goosebumps, which was the camera leading up to the front door.
Wow.
But I mean, nowadays, I've got plenty of existential things that overwhelm any sort of normal fears.
Credit card and
Well, I mean, the sleep paralysis demon always visits me. It hasn't
What's
visited
his
me
name?
recently. Steve, I guess. I never
Luther?
asked. Well, he never actually appears. It's more just the sense that he's going to, and like he will want to engage me in conversation that I don't want to be a part of. Yeah, exactly. But no, like I get the
Still
sleep
waiting for that
paralysis,
check.
and it's this TLDR. The sleep paralysis that I get on occasion is way worse than just like most stuff that I deal with at 3 a.m. whenever I wake up. So it doesn't bother me anymore.
Well, Michael, as of next week, once we get through that episode, you will now have fear of waking in the middle of the night and seeing a small child sitting in a chair and staring at you while
Yeah.
you're paralyzed.
I'm looking forward to
I
that.
am waiting for that. Yes.
Yeah.
I was also going to say that it makes perfect sense that you, when you were a kid, like where you lived, you'd be afraid to go out and take your trash can out because that was Peoria, and Peoria is just a cesspool. I do
That's
not.
fair.
Because what was
Wretched
it?
hive of scum and
101,
villainy.
101 in Peoria?
No, Grand Avenue in the 101.
Oh, even better.
Ooh.
Yes.
So
Classic.
yeah, I mean, at least your fear had a firm hold in reality there.
It wasn't skunks that I smelled. It was definitely all the weed.
All right. Well,
right.
I think I might have found the rails that we went off of, but I just don't know how we got it.
You don't have a fear?
To answer your question, no. I cannot think of a single thing. Most of the time, if I had anything that I had like an irrational fear of, I tend to embrace those things. It's the reason I'm as infatuated with horror films and with things that unnerve me is I like that button. I hit it a lot. The things that I'm terrified
morphine
by
drip.
are like, socially interacting with people and having to talk to folks I need to kick out of my library and running through all of the things that may force me into actual human interaction. The misanthropic part of me does not want to deal with anything, so that's the irrational fear probably.
So the portrait that I painted for you, it would be getting up in the middle of the night to take a whiz, and then when your head hit the pillow again, against your will, you got transported to a party where you were forced to interact with 6 people that you don't care about.
I'm not obligated to be there. I think what's funny, the only thing about my job is that forced sense of feeling obligated when I really technically am not. I mean, I could just be a terrible employee and not care. The area where I feel like I'm trapped and I have to go over because where everybody else in the building can tap out and go, oh, I don't want to go deal with that. Being the manager, that is then incumbent upon me to go over and make contact and be the one who has to, swing the hammer. As we've learned from the good lords of Winterfell, I need to be the one that swings the sword if I've passed the sentence. So those are the things that bother me, which I know we've gone off the rail and this is not fun anymore.
No,
but those are the only things that cause me dread is those instances, and that's the only time when I start having like that jacked heart rate and going like, oh good, this is going to be terrifying. I can go into a party and be like, well, I don't know any of you, I don't care what you think of me, and I can leave and be coarse about it with everybody.
I have witnessed it and it is glorious.
Yeah, so it's weird. I feel like I'm a very strong-willed person in many circumstances, and then in others I feel like a terrified little child. And it's really weird for me when the switch flips, and I hate it. I actively try to fight my instincts in those situations and confront it, but it's a very difficult hill to climb for those who suffer anxiety.
For sure.
It's fun. Anywho.
Ooh.
Now back to fun times here.
Captain Paxel. Yeah.
Yes, please give me the juice. So what we typically do here is we wait for our files to compress from our recorded episode, and while doing so, we entertain ourselves not with talk of existential dread, but with Chuck Klosterman's hypotheticals, which you can find anywhere that disreputable games are sold. And there is a brand new edition that just came out this year as well, which is a 50 additional questions, which we may have to get into to keep this bit going if we must. So this week, confronting and confounding us and hopefully not causing us to be irrevocably tongue-tied as 2 of the past installations have, we have A Life in Film.
Oh.
I'm not trying to kick you out of here, Michael. I promise. This is luck of the draw. Are we ready, gentlemen?
So what is film again?
This is going to be a good one. Okay. Brace for impact. For whatever reason, 2 unauthorized movies are made about your life. The first is an independently released documentary, primarily comprised of interviews with people who you know and bootleg footage from your actual life. Critics are describing the documentary as brutally honest and relentlessly fair. Meanwhile,
Okay.
Columbia TriStar has produced a big budget biopic of your life, casting major Hollywood stars as you and all of your acquaintances. Though the movie is based on actual events, screenwriters have taken some liberties with the facts. Critics are split on the artistic merits of the fictionalized account, but audiences love it. So the question, gentlemen, is which film would you be more interested in seeing?
Oof. Trick question. I set myself on fire.
Uh,
I I'll just do shot out of the cannon here.
Hmm.
I
Please.
will do the big budget film because something that, speaking of not fears, but like things that make you uncomfortable. One of the things that makes me very uncomfortable is seeing people talk about me. I do not like hearing about myself. I don't like, and it's not that I think that I carry myself in a weird way, but it's always, I have a hard time with the spotlight. Like I don't like feeling exposed in that way. And I feel like a documentary style would make you feel way more exposed and transparent. And not like I'm trying to be cagey and like, it's not like I'm, it's not like I'm some like big artiste or whatever that needs to have things like, concealed or hidden in little corners. But I don't know, there's something just so uncomfortable about that. But I feel like a big budget version where it's suddenly based on a true story, wink wink.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, like what if Emily Ratajkowski got cast as one of the people that I got to, like, one of my first girlfriends, like what if that happened? Like what if that was a thing? Like what
Only if
if Gabriella
David
Godot
Fincher
in it
was
too?
directing it.
I hope.
Well,
um,
I will say, you're not a pathological liar who has, lied on your taxes for the last 15 years and you are trying to avoid public scrutiny. And so that's why you would fear a documentary. Yeah, you're not that at all. I mean,
No.
that would be horrible to exist like that. But nah, it's not
Horrible.
you. Anywho,
uh,
so, Michael, big budget or a little documentary?
so because my life is fairly bland, in my opinion, and probably most other people's opinions, I would definitely go for the big budget because who knows? I want to see how people would spice up my life. Like, honestly.
Why did you have
We
to
have
make a
such
Spice
different
Girls reference?
approach. I feel like we're like close to the same approach, and then you just had to throw that.
What is the Spice Girl? No, I'm kidding. I know who the Spice
What is a
Girls are.
Spice Girl?
Yes. For 500, Alex.
Come
No,
on.
but honestly, like, my life is fairly bland, and and that's just how it goes. That's how the dice is rolled. But like, it would be interesting to see like someone looking at my life and being like, how can we make this interesting?
Armageddon.
Yeah,
So you want,
exactly.
I was gonna say you want Michael Bay to come in and be like, all right, so when do we throw an explosion in the background? Is it when he leaves the Howies, or
Right. All right. You can work at a pizza shop. 8 years later, explosion. I'm working still here. Woohoo!
I was more
I'm
thinking
working
of
still
like
here?
you were teaching physics with the new professor Galrilla Godot, who was cast in the lead role.
Ooh,
And
there
you're the
we go.
supporting
Okay.
cast in your own story.
Okay,
I
let's go
like
ahead
it.
and get this out. I think sometimes, depending on the episode, we have a good amount of views here and there.
Mm.
If someone is an artist that is listening to this, like a graphic artist, I will pay you money to render Galrilla Godot. I've been tiptoeing around this for a long time. I need to see what Galrilla Godot looks like. So if you or anyone you know wants to make a quick buck or two, I will splash out on this podcast. I need to know what Galrilla Godot looks like.
Well, for those of you who
Hit
are
me up.
fond of the Game of Thrones, we have the Beggar King here, who is trying to
I will
get
pay
into
you
your
money.
good graces. Well, a Lannister
I
always
mean,
pays
not
a
a
I
lot
will
of money.
pay you money.
Now,
I
Michael,
swear I will.
I have a feeling that we could also spice this up a little further by saying what we envision the title of the film would be. And for yours, I can't imagine it would be anything other than "Let's Get Physical."
I like it. No, I like it.
What about copulation time?
That makes it sound way more interesting than it actually is. Even with the big budget blow up, like, nah.
I feel like "Let's
Too
Get
about-
exciting.
Physical" is nerdy enough to,
Wait.
appropriately address Michael.
But he already made it. Well, one, there's two titles that he's already come up with himself that would be autobiographical. And the
Cucked by
first
God.
one, first one would be Cucked by God. And the second one,
that is the first one.
the second one, and I think this is what would actually be the title of his big budget movie, would be It's a Living.
I feel like that is more the dramedy of Michael's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
a cover with him going,
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
They didn't even cast me for
in
the
a
role
row?
of myself. What am I even doing here?
Oh, yipes.
They don't
John,
even bring you on.
Oh
as a
no,
producer.
they wouldn't.
John, thoughts on what your title might be for the film since we're here?
Ooh, good point.
Country in Crisis.
Not Angel Has Fallen.
Can you at least explain?
Maybe the Hunt for Red Cooktober.
Thank you. All right. Well,
Goodness.
contrary to the both of your answers, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here, but I play on the other end of the spectrum. And John, you can attest to the validity of this. I am paranoid enough about whether or not people are candid with me and their real selves, to the extent that I would have to watch the documentary to know what people's unfettered opinions of me are. Because, it's one of those things, like, you always second guess whether everyone's really being honest with you. And that's the music business is fraught with individuals who are somewhat two-faced, almost intrinsically. So
Right.
you kind of get conditioned to the fact that you're expecting everyone's lying about you as you leave the room. So I would want to see, and plus I'm also a huge fan of documentaries. I love them to death. So to be able to, one, I assume I'm going to have some involvement at some point. Someone's at least got to ask me. But furthermore,
You will be an executive producer. Yeah.
it would be an
Except for mine.
interesting way to throw my life into a relief, because you think of all your circumstances and what led you to your actual point. And I really
Right.
love films like It Might Get Loud was one of my favorite documentaries of all time, and that's a film about musicians. So I would be really keen on seeing something just for the sake of sitting back and going, oh wow, I forgot that happened, and oh yeah, that was weird, and that was a good time, and yeah, I probably
Yeah.
shouldn't have done that.
Becky made a really interesting comment earlier today, like on the note that we were talking about before we rolled, of like getting kind of like music production back in like the home life, and how like when her and I first met on our first date, in fact, I had gotten, while we were sitting at the bar, received an email with our first mix for Poltergeist. And like little stories like that, to your point, like little, anecdotal, like, oh yeah, that did happen then. Like it would, I agree with you that that would be cool. And then also, I mean, I see the value to your point of being like, oh, I thought that person hated my guts this entire time, or I knew it,
Yeah.
So no,
That's fun, because I didn't, it was something I was kind of pointing out, but I just thought about it from the other day for you mentioning Poltergeist. I sent you a video that we had from when we were recording Speechless, and just seeing the individuals who were present in the room and sort of flashing back to that time and place. And you don't realize how contrasted your life can be, even in the span of 5 to 7 years.
yeah, because that really wasn't that long ago.
No.
all said and
So
done,
thinking of circumstances that were taking place 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and things that you've done just even in that small amount of time, to give kind of a retrospective, it's really interesting to kind of get a quick relief of where you were at the time, and a snapshot
For sure.
back in time. So I'd love to see it. That'd just be fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like with either movie choice, you would get your fair share of that, because like when you're, it's like watching someone's biopic
Mm-hmm.
whether or not, again, it's a documentary or a bigger production. There are things in there that you wouldn't think to include, that other people, like the filmmaker, would be like, no, that's the bread and butter, that's the money right there, you know.
Mhm.
So to take yourself out of the equation, have someone else make the calls.
It's so funny. Like we're gonna get off on a really weird tangent, and if this is pointless, then please stop me. But I've had multiple instances where like the bands that I have gotten into, the only reason that it happened was just through an odd set of circumstances or really weird sort of precipitation of fate. Like I sat out and I took a bass over to a show that my friend Lauren was playing because I had seen her at the Big Fish pub. We were doing a show together. And I sat down and just said, hey, I wrote a couple bass lines to a couple of your songs. Let's go sit down on the curb and I'll play them for you. And you can see if you want to be in a band with me. Like, not something that casually happens with other people. And like, I'd love to see that depicted filmically. And I was playing a show with another individual who I wound up being in a band with for a string of years. And they were on the first act on the show, and I was playing kind of in the mid show, and I got to just sit in the crowd and watch that person and go like, that would be someone I would love to make music with. And it wound up being a thing. So I feel like my life has these weird foreshadowing moments. For instance, meeting a young guitar player outside of the Lyceum who said that he and his buddy had seen my YouTube video and knew of who I was before I had ever encountered them, and having that weird like, yeah, well, you're kind of cool, and I liked your music. Let's play some gigs together. And then later
It was
on,
a fun set of circumstance for sure.
yeah, my life has just kind of been peppered with things like that. So I would really love seeing those things happen, regardless of whether it was a biopic or a documentary. That would be fun to get footage of.
For sure. Michael?
I mean, like, even this podcast is kind of like just a series of,
absolutely.
I would almost say unfortunate circumstances, but,
Yeah. For you,
but
mostly.
no,
But for me, getting you drunk.
yes. And then you telling me while I'm drunk and then also partially sober sometimes that, like, you have a band and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, let's go support you guys. And then, one thing to led to another.
Far enough then, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Been doing 60 episodes of, a podcast and all that other fun stuff. So
Michael didn't even realize he broke the cuss code.
And I did so well. There's so many times during this episode.
No.
In fact, I think since you called it out multiple weeks ago, I've went into these episodes of like, I'm talking to my parents. Yeah.
I imagine I'm at work.
Yeah, or actually, no, I can't imagine.
That doesn't help me with either.
This hopefully by the time that this episode is out, I will no longer be fun employed. But work was definitely not a scenario where the filter went on in that regard. But no, Michael, you had a really good point. And then I think what actually got the proper podcast started in general, if you don't mind me kind of like diving on that. And then
by all means,
geez, I think this might be the next longest one that we've done. So I was your bartender, beer tender, whatever you want to call it. You were my patron, got you drunk, you got into the band, you started hanging out with us. We thought you were moderately okay. And then
slept together.
Yeah, and then we slept together. You may have had interactions with somebody in our circle, yada yada, semen later. You were telling me about a podcast concept that you'd started with a friend of yours, which essentially was a very
You've said it multiple times before. It's the dull
informed podcast.
Yes, yeah. Which is fair.
Oh no,
so
you sent me a pilot, and the pilot was I texted you. I was like, hey, listen to the whole thing. I don't think I comprehended anything, but it's very clear that you both are really well informed on what you're talking about. And then I think it was myself who pitched to you, hey, Shane. I did some episodes with Shane on his podcast that he had years ago called Beyond Hyperbole, and it was a lot of fun. It was more loose form, just conversational. But if you wanted to keep what you were doing, what if you just made it more like pop culture-y and then threw in some lies, and it was just three dudes, three mics kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that's basically I don't think we ever talked about the inception before until right now, at least on air.
Hinted at it here and there, but we've never said it as concrete and consolidated is what you did just now. Yeah. But
yeah, so if you were to see the sequence of events, whether big picture or documentary, it would be very, very weird, to Shane's point, of like these weird pepper events of like they shouldn't really solidify into a sandwich of hate. that it's become. Is that what it is? A burrito
Of disgust for
malcontent.
me.
Uh, but here we are, and yeah, we're still jerking each other off to this day. That's
It's a
why you
beautiful
can't see
thing.
my hands in most of these still frames. Just reaching over to the other hands. I won't.
The Dutch rudder on this podcast.
Oh
No,
goodness.
it is interesting. Just these odd confluence of events that bring us together, like winds that perpetuate us and propel us down the water.
Oh, speaking of winds and feathers, I didn't mention this on the episode proper, but I've made a new studio. I've made a studio name for my home setup now.
Ooh.
And if I ever have music that doesn't fit into our oeuvre, I'll release it under this artist's name as well. I
I'm
am
intrigued.
Feathered Fiction.
I like it.
it.
Feathered Fiction Studios, baby.
Well, as long as it's not the White Powder Patty Cake Brigade,
Oh, that was my second choice.
which was coincidentally the episode title for when you were on Beyond Hyperbole with me. And funnily enough, to coincide with our theme, because I do love segues and bringing everything to coalesce into a point, we talked about horror films.
Yeah,
And,
we did.
Into a lot of the things we were interested in. Sinister was one of the ones that I talked about,
And
hence
Insidious.
the title. Yes. So we stay on brand, even years ago. And that is what we're doing right now. So if you're not listening to the podcast, please go listen, because we are doing a lot of very spoopy themed material for the month of October.
I had an idea. And I just had it because maybe it's the poster that I see every time that we're recording.
Mhm.
But for this month, I'll go check it out once we log off. But if it's on sale, only if it's on sale, because I want to play to you, Shane and Michael. If Alien Isolation is on sale, and both of you have never played it, I don't remember if you guys have. I think it would be fun to maybe try and play. Shane, you've definitely played it, right?
We played it together, my friend.
Did we?
Oh,
You brought me over to the. You had me come over and hang out with you at your old apartment where you and
we
Clitosaurus
didn't beat
Rex
it together.
No, we didn't beat it together. I mean, we beat it together. Just it's a different context. But I have Alien Isolation.
Not with the game.
I mean,
on PlayStation 5 as well. I got it when it was on sale previously because I love that game to death, particularly like the survival mode.
He said 5.
He did say 5.
I did. It's on
You said PlayStation 5.
No, I've got it already.
Yes,
I'm ahead of the both of you.
Okay, never mind then. I had it on Xbox. I'm gonna re-download it because last October season, Kristen, Becky, and we downloaded a first-person survival game where you don't really have weapons, and we had a lot of fun with that.
Mhm.
So I was thinking for this season, I haven't played that game since it came out. It's starting to come back to me now because you're the only other person in my life still to this day that cares about Alien more than I do. Like I flirt with enjoying it, but you love it.
I adore it. Yes.
I am sorry that I forgot about that, but yes, I do remember. I do remember now. So yeah, I'm gonna replay it. I recall that it's horrifically long for what it is, but I enjoy it. And also, I remember I didn't understand one of the mechanics that probably would have made the game far more enjoyable until I finished it the first time. So,
all right,
Michael, if you have not played it,
no, but I really want to.
Yeah, it's akin to like Amnesia, and it's that first person.
Oh, it's the thing I love. I've played Amnesia. I played Soma.
Have you played Slender?
No, but I have watched other people play it. It's a fun game. I do like that sort of
if it's on sale for $5, I'd play it, but I wouldn't pay full price for Slender.
Another game that I'd recommend that's kind of in that same. Oh yeah. I enjoy these sort of games because like I'm terrible at like action-y events. Like I have no reflexes whatsoever. So ones that I just have to hide, I enjoy a lot better. Observer. It's I can try and give someone a link or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly the company that did it, but it's a really good. It's like a cyberpunk set in like the dystopian cyberpunk set in like 2050 or something like that, and it's all about like a sort of cyber sort of plague that infected a lot of cybernetic people and stuff like that, and pretty much the main character can enter people's dreams to try and ascertain like what their memories are and stuff like that. It's really trippy, really mind bending, but I really enjoy the game because it's walking simulator of sorts,
Okay.
but it's very like environment. Like you can really get into the character and stuff like that.
Well,
Right
if
on.
you do like that, Alien Isolation is going to be completely up your alley. That
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so well
Oh, yeah.
crafted, particularly just from the sound design. And if you play it with anything
Incredible.
like playing Fear back in the day, if you had
Oh my God.
headphones
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
where you would hear the little like nuanced things, and particularly as it's crawling through air vents and you're waiting for the xenomorph to fall down on you, terrifying. Particularly if you don't have the means to get it away from you. It is so marvelous. Plus, you get the opportunity to be the actual characters from the film in the
Oh, if you're doing the DLC, yeah.
in the DLC content. It is
Oh, okay.
fantastic, very fun because you're trying to get everybody out of the Nostromo. So, it's a good pitch.
All right. And then if I give one more, and then I'm done. I'm off this.
It's fine.
this
We're making this
recommendation.
basically the next episode for this is a weekly episode as opposed to Disinformed After Dark at this point,
Yeah, we've really run the gamut on this one.
which is my own fault, but I love it.
No,
Sorry,
no.
I have one more after you as well, John.
Sure.
Sorry.
If you are looking for something, and again, we're talking about video games, so sorry about you, but if you're looking for third-person action survival horror, I was obsessed at the beginning of quarantine in March, like, when we had all that time just plopped into our laps, with The Evil Within 2 was a really, really fun game. Especially Shane, I thought about you a lot when I was playing it because it does touch on the original game and this one in particular. Narrative is pretty typical, but it reminded me almost like it's Matrixy. It's the Cell adjacent-ish.
Okay.
With a little bit of I want my family back.
Okay. You and I both have that Dead Space trigger as well.
And it does remind me of Dead Space in the regard of how the camera behaves and how the upgrade paths go.
Oh, nice.
So if that is on sale too, I'd recommend picking that up. Or even like for myself, just because I know I like it, I could recommend it to anybody else, like for full price. If you like those games, like for fans of Dead Space and Resident Evil 4, what have you. Michael, what did you have?
So I realized that I think I had mentioned this like game a while ago, probably like in October of last year. No. Well, yes, I have, but not that one. It's called Layers of Fear.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It was Observers made by the same people that made Layers of Fear. So it's that sort of like very atmospheric is the word that I was trying to go for a little bit earlier. But it's way different setting than, crazy person at the beginning of the 20th century, like losing his brain. This is more like cyberpunk-esque 2050 thing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's almost, I feel like it almost actually referencing your shirt, Shane, it's almost kind of like
Blade Runner
close to, yes, actually very much so. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All
awesome.
about it.
Well, that was our nerd corner. That's where we lost about 80% of our viewership.
Or
if we didn't lose them in
20.
Yeah.
So for those that have stuck around, thank you very much.
Well, we didn't get to my other one as well. Sorry, not to step on your segue.
Sorry. I am so sorry.
My favorite current horror film is Fall Guys.
Oh,
that
is
pretty
fully
terrifying.
embraced?
No, that is my nightmare. It's just a bunch of little squirrely things jumping around and pouncing and having fun and making squeaky noises. That horrifies me.
Don't tell him about Gremlins. He's not ready.
No, it's cool. There is actually like a little article that I read, I think like 2-3 weeks ago, where there's like a very, very rare Easter egg where you actually won't connect with other people. You'll just be dropped into a round with
Your own personal hellscape.
a bunch of just, I would almost say T-posing other Fall Guys, but they're all in the... Yeah, exactly. I can try and find the article for it and link it to you guys or whatever. But essentially, like this streamer was playing and he happened upon it, and like Fall Guys actually came out and said, "Yeah, that's very rare. No one else will really see it." Where he was dropped in, all the other Fall Guys were just bots of sorts, but they were just sank there. They were just falling down. They didn't get up or anything. So it's pretty much like everyone's dead.
Like you got off on the 10th floor of the elevator.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it. Well,
Mhm.
John, I'm sorry. I stepped on your outro here, so continue.
Oh no, I was just gonna thank anyone who took the time out of their day to watch probably what will end up being our longest After Dark episode, and then
Seriously.
also just a little asterisk of October, something that we arbitrarily have hyped up into our heads to just kind of nerd out a little bit. So I think most of us here really do enjoy the horror genre and anything that is spooky. So we definitely lean hard during this month. I'm not going to go get a pumpkin spice latte, but I will tell you about the books, movies, and games that terrify me or give me a little bit of
Yeah, I'm not going to get a pumpkin spice latte either, but I am going to sink my teeth into a barista.
I mean, as you should.
Yes, as we all do. Well, I think that is going to bring another spine-tingling edition of
Ooh.
Disinformed After Dark to a much-needed close. But we thank you all for being here, and please check out every Monday. The podcast is escapes out into the wild, and you can find us at wherever you prefer. We have a link tree down below where you can get everything. And
And
Michael,
Michael,
do you know, is there something that the folks should be doing if they're here and they enjoy what they're hearing?
You can smash that like button, ring the bell, subscribe. I think that's all of them. Leave a comment, thumbs up, like it, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
yeah.
I kind of just petered out there, kind of just died.
Well, I mean, you kind of tried to go soft while going hard in the initial foray, so I don't think it worked out quite the way you wanted it to there, Chief.
Yeah, no, it kind of failed me there.
Just pushing rope. Okay. We thank you for enduring an extra long double edition, and we appreciate you being here. So please make sure that you come back every Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Here on the Tubes of You, we will happily find you. So, for Disinformed After Dark, this one is known as Kenton Eldorado.
I am Timothy Lone Cactus.
I hate everything. I'm Robert Greer, and no.
Keener Stevens.
With a hat and a man. No, stop,
Bruh.
stop the terrible.
Oof. All right. Well, gentlemen, the time, according to the clock on the wall and the halo on that man's head, tells me that it's copulation time.